Hello, MotoAmerica fans. It's time for another episode of Off Track with Carruthers and Bice. You'll laugh, you'll cry, and you may even learn something from this unlikely pair and their special guest. The mic is yours, Paul and Sean.
Good morning, everybody. This is Paul Carruthers, and welcome to the 124th episode of Off Track with Carruthers and Bice. This is MotoAmerica's weekly motorcycle racing podcast. And as I just mentioned, I'm joined every week by Sean Bice. Sean, I can't believe 124 weeks in a row we've done this.
You know, Paul, I think we've been together longer than Simon and Garfunkel, actually. So we're it's the marriage that will last forever, I think. Things are good.
Yeah, I just hope I end up being Simon. He got the better end of the deal, I think.
Well, neither of us thankfully have Garfunkel's hair, so that's
mine's pretty close during pandemic. What didn't Garfunkel wrote all the songs, but like Paul Simon ended up with all the fame and fortune, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's funny. Well, it's funny. Garfunkel he was kind of a bit of an actor. I mean, he didn't do much. I guess he was in that Carnal Knowledge, which is sort of an oddly titled movie for what it was. I guess it was that, but he was in a couple of movies and he wasn't a very good actor. But Paul definitely did more. I mean, Paul's what do you want? The guy's name is Paul. I mean, what do you expect, right?
He should be the leader, right?
But yeah, he did do a lot more with his career, and I don't know what those guys are up to these days, but it didn't last forever. They're still around, but not Simon and Garfunkel as a group anyway. So, but we're here at Carruthers and Bice.
Yeah, we are, and I don't know about you, but I'm getting kind of excited to go to Texas and Circuit of the Americas for our test here. I think it's 3 weeks or two and a half weeks or something at this point. So
yeah,
we'll actually get together for real. It's been a while since we've actually seen each other face to face, and obviously it's you've mentioned before, it's kind of like that going back to school and seeing everybody again. It's always kind of a fun couple of days down there, and also it's we get a lot of work done, and it's just good to catch up with everybody.
Yeah, I love that feeling, that first weekend back, walking around and seeing everybody. It's obviously the opposite of that last round where we, kind of say goodbye to people that we're not going to see for a while. But thankfully, with us, we talk every day and we talk to the riders a lot during the off season. So even though we don't get to see them, we definitely stay in touch with them, and including our guest today. So thank goodness for high technology, I guess.
Well, there you go. That brings us to introducing our guest. I actually looked it up, and he was with us on this podcast 33 weeks ago.
Okay.
Like in July of 2020. So it would have been, not midway through our season, actually, because we did get a late start, but it would have been well into our season. And our guest today is Ashton Yates. I've talked about this before when we've had Ashton on, and obviously we basically write about it every time we mention him, but he's actually participated in 6 different podiums in MotoAmerica, and he's been with us since the beginning in 2015 when he was he was never really little, but when he was a kid racing KTM RC Cup with us. Back in 2015, he finished 19th in the championship, and then he steadily moved his way up. The next year he was 3rd with some wins, and then he went to Superstock 600 and Super Sport, and one year he did Super Sport and Junior Cup combined, which actually worked out pretty well for him. He got a double podium at Road Atlanta when he won the Junior Cup and finished 3rd in Super Sport. So that was a pretty cool day, and it was also good that it was at Road Atlanta because that's his home race since he's from Georgia, as is his famous father, Aaron, who it's nice to see at the races along with Ashton's grandfather. They work as a good team together, and it's always fun to walk by their paddock and see what they're up to. Now he's a Stock 1000 and Superbike Cup racer. If he raced Twins and Baggers Cup, he would actually have, raced in every kind of series that we've had. So Ashton's been around, and believe it or not, he's only 21 years old. So it seems like, well, I guess when you get a kid when he's that young, it's you kind of grow up together. So it's kind of been nice to see his progression. But Ashton, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, guys. It's good to be back.
It's nice to hear that Southern drawl.
Yeah.
How's everything going back there? You good?
Oh yeah. I'm just getting set for the season. Just been training, and it's kind of an exciting season coming up. We've never really had everything come together in time for the season like it has. So we're just waiting for it to start and maybe even possibly hit that COTA test.
Well, it makes a big difference. And I know, as you just alluded to, I mean, you guys have often started the season on the back foot, and now it sounds like that's not the case anymore. So you've got motorcycles, you're set, you've got everything going and rolling, ready for 2021.
Oh yeah. Last year we were waiting on that new bike, the new Honda Fireblade, and it actually finally showed up at the end of last season, like right after the last race. So we've had the bike for a while, but now it's just the parts, like trying to get parts for the bike, because it's a new bike and everyone doesn't have them in stock. But currently we pretty much have it all figured out. We're just waiting on a few of the electronic things, and yeah, I mean, everything's come together. We have sponsors this year that are new sponsors this year that we brought into the program, and yeah, it's looking good. It's pretty exciting.
You know, Ashton, I think I was probably driving you crazy towards the end of last year, because I think before every round I was texting you and saying, hey, you got the new bike yet? Got the new bike? And I know we were all like expectant fathers waiting for that thing. But now that you say you've gotten it, can you give us what your kind of what your first impressions are of it? I'm sure you've ridden it. Can you compare it to the previous one? And is it similar, very different? Tell us what you feel about it.
To be honest, I haven't even rode it yet.
Oh,
No,
okay.
I haven't rode it yet. As soon as we got the bike, it was taken apart, and the electronics, we've been waiting still on some of the electronics for a while. And I was hoping to get to ride it maybe just how it was as a street bike at a track day, but we just never did that. But honestly, I'm not really too worried about riding it. I mean, I do want to ride it before the first race, but I'm not like too worried about it, because I mean, I think I'll be able to adapt to it pretty quick. And if I'm comfortable, I'll be comfortable. I usually don't have a problem with adapting to the bike quickly.
Will you ride it before you said you're going to COTA, right?
Yeah, that's the plan. We were trying to figure.
You think you'll ride it?
Oh yeah, I mean, that's the plan. That it should be ready to go by COTA, and yeah, for both days. So it should be good to go. But yeah, last year, I think every weekend, people would come up to me asking me about the bike. Everybody would be sending me texts and messages on Instagram, and I was just like, man, I definitely want this bike to come soon too. It's just taken forever. I think they had the Honda factory shut down actually after the coronavirus issue last year, so that might have been the big problem.
So this year you said, you got the new bike. You also said you've got some other additions to the team. Can you tell us what your program's looking like this year with these additions? I mean, give some of your sponsors a little bit of attention here.
Oh yeah. So yeah, like Sunstar, like sprockets, and NGK spark plugs. We're gonna have support from them this year, and it's gonna be, a Jones Honda effort again, like last year, thanks to Daryl and Cameron Jones, his son. Cameron's actually raced in the Junior Cup before, and I think he's actually won a race in the Junior Cup.
Yeah, in the rain.
Yep, that's right.
Yeah, so yeah, Cameron will actually be, he's got his own electronics thing going to his own company, CJR Performance, and I think he's going to be my electronics guy this year. He kind of helped out last year some, and I'm also going to have GP Tech with us this year again, or Jeff Maloney. He did some like MotoGP wild card stuff in the past, and he's just a good friend of mine and my dad. So And then just a bunch of other small companies, Tech Spec and Hindle and Pro Honda Oils and Chemicals actually is helping us out this year too, which is kind of cool. They're kind of linked in with some of the Honda motocross stuff, and it was kind of cool to talk to some of the Honda guys out west and see that they're all paying attention to us and got their eye on us this year. So
I was going to ask you about that. Obviously, the team, the Honda connection with the team pretty much comes through the Joneses. But like you just mentioned, which makes me feel better about it. It sounds like somebody's paying attention at American Honda out in California now that you're doing this, which is nice to see. Do you think they'll eventually, I mean, is it kind of a wait and see with them as to how much effort they would put into it? I mean, do you think if you start doing some good results that they would step up a little bit with some help?
I think so. I mean, that's what it sounds like. Last year, they were actually wanting to help us out, potentially sponsorship, like actual money maybe, but then the Corona thing happened and it kind of all changed. But they're all watching us. We stay in contact with those guys. They know what we're doing and what we're up to, and I always message those guys after the weekends, and they actually, they'll post my results up on the Honda website and stuff as well. But yeah, I mean, they all got their eye on us. I'm hoping once we get this bike going well and get some good results, they'll get excited and want to get back into some Superbike racing.
Yeah. So Ashton, here's a little bit of a trivia thing that I was just thinking up in my head here. So let's see if I'm right about this. So your dad, Double Aaron, as we used to call him, Aaron, raced most of his career with Suzuki. He obviously raced a Harley early on in Twin Sports and did a great job then. He raced a Kawasaki a little bit, but most of the time rode a Suzuki. I don't think he ever rode a Honda that I know of. Oh, then he, of course, the EBR in World Superbike. I can't forget that. But as far as you go, then you've raced a Yamaha, and I think you raced the Kawasaki, and now on a Honda, but you've never raced a Suzuki. So is it true that your dad's never raced a Honda and you've never raced a Suzuki?
Yeah, I've never raced a big bike Suzuki. I mean, I got my Supermoto bike.
Oh, that's true. You do. Yes, that's right.
But yeah, I've never raced a GSX-R. You know what? I've rode one. I forgot. I did a few laps on one at a track day, but that's the only riding I've done on a GSX-R. I've never rode a 600 or anything either. My dad actually has his championship winning 750. I wanted to do something with it and maybe go to the Barber Vintage Festival and run it, but I don't know if he's going to be down for that or not.
I think you should break that thing out and just race it in Superbike.
Yeah, that'd be pretty crazy.
There's one of your dad's bikes at the airport. I see it every year.
That, I think that's the stock 1000 from 2005.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, it's at Barber, right? It's the airport when we go for Birmingham, I think.
Yeah.
It's so cool. So is he still big time into Mopars like he used to be?
Yeah, he is. He's actually got he's into these sport Audi cars. He's got a few of them, and he turned one into a rally car because we have some property. And he just rips around on that thing sometimes. But yeah, he still has his drag car also. He hasn't really messed with that much lately. But yeah, he's got vintage bikes too. He's been tinkering on lately. He's just always working on something, it seems like.
Well, when I obviously we follow you on social media, and it seems like, I mean, you're on a motorcycle, it seems like almost every single day. Is that true?
Usually, I mean, now it's been, I kind of been riding the mountain bike more. because I enjoy that just about as much, and I get a good workout out of it as well. So, but yeah, I mean, I try to ride as much as possible. I can't really go a week without riding, so I think it's an important thing to keep riding too. And I think riding's better as far as being ready for the races than like running or any of those other exercises you want to do. I think riding's better for me anyways.
Yeah, I think so too. Okay, you're obviously a very naturally gifted rider with a lot of talent. When you're out there like racing in the Superbike class, I mean, I think you're a confident kid, but I think you're quietly confident, but I think you're very confident in your abilities. When you're out there racing with guys like even in the Superbike Cup and Stock 1000, are you of the belief like I can run with these guys and I can beat these guys if we get the right package together? Do you feel that?
Oh yeah, I felt that last year, all year long. Yeah, I mean, it was a good package last year. It was awesome, but the bike, it was pretty much a bike rolled off the showroom floor. That was the only way we could really ride it. And then we were having a few issues trying to get the electronics to work properly, so we didn't even run the traction control at all. And I was just kind of having fun on the thing and just learning. I learned a lot, and I'm interested to see how I'll feel now on a bike with good electronics and more power and just all around better package. It's going to be interesting.
So right now I gotta make a little change in our podcast action because I gotta do a shout out right now. And this is a shout out because of I think the power of the internet. I wouldn't know this otherwise. And the reason I'm emphasizing that I wouldn't know it otherwise is because once I say it, you're gonna realize that it's not something I should regularly know. But Ashton, let's give a shout out to Zoe Heron, who I believe was her birthday yesterday or the day before?
Yeah, March 8th. That was
March 8th.
Monday,
a couple days. So
yeah.
we got to give a shout out to her on her birthday, right?
Oh yeah.
Because she's constantly helping you with the Heron compound with those. I think she shoots a lot of the videos that she sends to us because our video guy, Doug, he'll always mention that Zoe's shot it. And I mean, she seems to be standing right off the racing line when you're going crazy. So did she not get nervous at all when you're doing all your crazy stunts on that track?
Nah, she's been doing it for a while since Josh lived out. I mean, Josh lived here for years and she was always videoing him and stuff. So yeah, she's pretty much the videographer when everyone comes out here. So
yeah, I mean, if you think about it, Sean, she's pretty much growing up with a nut job.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like if you grow up with Josh Herring, you're pretty much, I'm not sure much would scare you at this point.
That's true.
What did scare me though was when you brought up her birthday and put Ashton on the spot. I'm like, man, I hope you remembered what day of her birthday.
Oh, come on, Ashton. He's a romantic for sure. Hey, you probably totally went all out for her a couple days ago, didn't you, Ashton?
Oh yeah.
See, he's a romantic. I mean, we could tell that from a mile away. You probably have more laps at the Heron compound than Josh Heron even has. Do you think that's true?
Yeah, it is probably. Yeah, I mean, as I cart track an hour from my house, I've been coming here for like almost 10 years now, and I got to take advantage. So, and I love supermoto, and I think that's like the best training on a motorcycle for me. Racing superbike. So, I mean, I feel like 450 is pretty similar to the superbike. And yeah.
Can you kick his ass there?
Well, Josh hasn't rode supermoto really since he did a video of my dad here at the compound back in, it might have been like 2014, or no, it was like 2012. But he hasn't really done much supermoto since then. He did I beat his lap time though by a couple of tenths here, so I got a track record now.
All right, cool. Well, let's go with the fact that you kicked his ass.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, Ashton, what is it like? Tell us the inside scoop on what it's like for your grandfather and your dad to be at the track like this. I mean, Paul and I remember so much back when Aaron raced that, Lucky would always be in the media center, kind of in the back, because Aaron was always on the podium, it seemed like, and he was always, when he gave quotes, he was, they were always very thoughtful, and he did a good job with it. And we see him, and are they still enjoying it? Is it because of their commitment to you? Do they still love being at the track? Well, what's your take on how the family handles this whole racing thing?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we're enjoying it, and it's been an awesome adventure these past few years, since 2015. Honestly, I couldn't really imagine doing it without my dad and grandpa. They're two very different people, though. And yeah, it's my dad helped me out and pretty much made me the rider I am. And my grandpa, I mean, he's done the same too. They pretty much brought me up and made me who I am. So yeah, I couldn't imagine being at the races without them. And they play a big part in it for me.
When Aaron raced, people called him the enforcer. I mean, he was a take no prisoners type of a rider for sure. And had amazing racecraft, but also just had this, he was able to will himself onto the podium or to win a lot of times, and didn't take too much guff. I mean, he would just make it happen out on the track. I don't know if you're still young. I don't know if you're that kind of a rider, or maybe you want to be. Do you think you ride like him, or do you think your style's a little different?
I think I do ride like him, but I haven't found that comfortable point on the big bike yet. I mean, I did actually. The closest I've been to that point was when I rode Vic Fasola's Yamaha in 2019 at the second half of the Stock 1000 Championship. I was pretty comfortable on that bike, and then unfortunately they weren't able to continue the next year, and then I joined Jones Honda. But I ride like that in anything besides on the big bike right now. On the Supermoto, that's how I ride. I'm pretty sure I can do things on the Supermoto bike my dad was never able to do. And I'm aggressive, really aggressive on that thing, especially, I mean, when I'm riding with my friends and stuff. And I grew up riding here at the compound with Josh, and like other doing mini GP races and racing motocross. I've kind of grew up having to be aggressive and with that tight, close racing and stuff. So I just think when I get comfortable on a good bike and have a good package, it's going to show.
Well, I'll tell you, you're absolutely right. When you ride supermoto bikes, you do hang it out there. Are you ever over the edge? You must be. We don't ever see any videos where you're going down, but you slide that bike so much that you seem to have it in complete control. But there's got to be some times where you go over the limit a little bit. Does that happen?
Yeah. There's a few times where you almost die out there, and you're like, "Holy cow! I need to take it easy," but then it doesn't happen. You just keep going. Yeah, we'll ride those things to the cords are showing on the supermoto bikes, and it's just kind of, I mean, tires are so expensive for those things also, and it's good training also. Do it so much, I'm used to it now, and I do so much riding, so.
Now, your dad will always be the number 20 that I know and love. And I know in the beginning of when you were racing, you were 20 for a while. Now you're 22. I'm talking about your competition number. Did you switch to 22? Tell us about switching to 22. And is that the number you're going to stick with for a while? Will that become your notable number for your career?
Yeah. Yeah, I've always loved 20. I mean, it was my dad's number, but I've always loved the number 20 also. And I kind of thought it would be cool to continue that number for my dad and, the Yates name. If I can in the future, I kind of want to bring or have that number back. I think I picked the 22. I'm not sure if 20 was already taken, but the 22 is also a good number. I used to be like an old football number for me. So I picked that number and it looks good. And it's a good looking number also. So
Yeah, I think that number, Matthew Skoltz, when he raced not in MotoAmerica, he was 20, and I think he wanted to get 20 when he came here. And somebody had it. I can't remember it might have been the same situation with you. But yeah, I mean, obviously he's gone to number 11 and seems to be known for that. Of course, that was Ben Spee's number and Thomas Stevens' number back in the day too. But it's interesting how some of these numbers equate to riders. 32. I mean, you think about obviously Dale Quarterly, but Eric Bostrom for sure. Way back it was Steve Baker. But for 20 with me, it's always been your dad. And it'd be cool if you got to get back to that at some point, because the legacy is clearly there. Does your grandfather Lucky, does he handle things with you racing the same as he did with your dad? Do you know if he's more nervous, or is he the same sort of demeanor watching you race as he did watching your dad race? What do you think?
Yeah, maybe. My grandpa always seems pretty relaxed, honestly, and he just does his thing. And my dad, on the other hand, he tells me to chill out sometimes, like when I'm riding. He's like, you're going too fast and stuff. Like, I guess it freaks him out that I'm doing what he used to do back in the day. And no, I mean, everybody's pretty relaxed and pretty relaxed, I think.
You'll find out one day if you have your own kids, but it is a little more stressful watching your kids do something than it is you doing it yourself. So I can kind of feel for what your dad goes through, because it must be hard to watch that and deal with your kid being out there like that. So I grew up with my father racing, and like my most vivid childhood memories are actually at racetracks. Do you have that same thing? I mean, when you look back as being a kid, you just remember always being at the racetrack?
Yeah, growing up at the racetrack and hanging out with kids at the races. Actually, when I first met the Herons, it was at, I think, VIR when I was a kid. I met Gavin Heron, and we used to hang out and ride our skateboards and bicycles around the pits and making all the pit staff mad, the guys in the yellow shirts chasing after us and stuff.
Yeah.
And stuff like that, just hanging out at the racetrack.
Yeah, it's pretty similar to when I was a kid, because I remember back in the day there was this AMA referee named Bill Boyce, and he was like the boss, and I had a mini Enduro 60 and I would just go crazy around the paddock, and he eventually told my dad I couldn't ride it anymore at the races, so that kind of put a damper on that. But I think I'd still like sneak out in the evenings when the AMA guys would pack up and go home and we were staying there. I would manage to still ride the thing. But so that we're pretty similar in that. And I think, did you, like, I was thinking about it the other day. It's like when my father raced, I never actually worried about him, because I just knew he was always, I just always felt really safe with him, because he wasn't a guy who crashed a lot anyways. Did you worry about your dad, or were you like me and it was just like you just had faith and he was doing the right thing and everything was gonna be okay?
Yeah, there was always a little worrying there, kind of. I mean, because he's out there on the track and they're just, riding, pushing hard. My dad pushes really hard when he races, and kind of usually like a winner crash attitude, I feel like sometimes. But I don't know. I mean, yeah, I trust my dad to do well and stuff, and I don't know. I guess I don't know.
That's a good answer. You're okay.
Ashton, when Aaron raced in World Superbike, did you ever go over and attend any rounds over there?
I was supposed to, but I never did. No, I was supposed to go to a race in Imola, I think.
Mm-hmm.
No, I never went over there. I wanted to though.
Oh, you were still. It's been a few years, so I mean, you were definitely a lot younger then, of course. But
That was 2014, I think. But then the next year for the KTM RC Cup World Finals, we went and did that Holland thing, which was pretty cool.
oh
And
yeah,
then I did the European Junior Cup wild card in Jerez too that year.
boy, that's really interesting. You and your dad almost raced at the same time. It's like a year transition there, huh?
Yeah.
That's amazing how that happened. I mean, it doesn't happen too often that a father and son will be having their racing career at the same time, or even necessarily being on the track. I know you guys probably do that now, or have done it before in, training or whatever, but that's pretty interesting the way your career started after that. This year, one of the things I was impressed last year, by the way, Ashton, is it seemed like it was towards the middle of the season, you changed up, I think, the livery on your bike and your leathers, and oh my gosh, you just looked like a total Honda factory guy. It was so branded and cool. Is that how your livery is going to be in your leathers this year?
Yeah, it's gonna look like that again. I'm gonna be wearing one of my old leather companies that I've kind of stuck with since the beginning, Speedy. They're Italian leathers.
Yeah.
And yeah, they look really good. So I've already got my suits and stuff, and I pretty much got everything ready to go. I'm just waiting on the bike to roll out on the bike. So
that's great. So we'll be a couple more weeks, and you guys for sure will be at the test. Your dad and your grandfather and you, just like you usually are in the paddock. That'll start at COTA. Is that right?
That's the plan. Yeah, that's the plan right now. Yeah. So
it's really good.
I think his grandpa, Lucky, I think if these guys both were racing at the same time, that might have pushed him over the edge. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
Can you imagine the worry of those two nutcases out there?
Seriously, that would have been crazy. Hey, I've got one more question for you, Ashton. I think we're going to wrap it up here, but I do want to ask you one more thing, and it's Paul may know this, but because this is another question about your grandfather, who you can tell. I think you can tell. I think an awful lot of him. Love to talk to him at the track. So when his name is spelled Luckey, which sounds like it's actually his name, not a nickname. What is it his actual name?
Yeah, Lucky. Yeah,
that's amazing. I always thought it was just a nickname he went by, and I always kind of wondered what his real name was. But
no, that's his real name. But his real name came from a nickname that his father had, I guess. And then so my great grandfather had that nickname, and I guess he named my grandfather after that. I'm pretty sure that's what he told me, but just added an E in there.
That's awesome. Yeah, the E makes it special. That's for sure.
Yeah. Okay, I have one more question, and then we'll get out of here for you, Ashton. Okay. The double podium at Road Atlanta with finishing third in Super Sport and winning the Junior Cup, is that your best day at the track so far? I mean, did that mean the most to you, especially with it being at Road Atlanta?
Yeah, that was pretty awesome. That was a pretty awesome weekend. Way to end that weekend also, yeah. I remember my grandpa, I think he was crying at one point, and wow. I couldn't believe it. Yeah, I was rolling in the wet. I couldn't believe how much confidence I had and stuff. At one point, I think it was Hayden, Gillum, and JD in front of me, and I was like slowly reeling them in, and then there was like a few laps to go, and I just kind of was like, all right, I need to bring it home. And then I almost fell on the last lap going up the hill under the bridge. I was just like, all right, I just need to I just needed to make it to the finish. But yeah, that was a pretty awesome, amazing weekend. But in 2019, when I podiumed on that R1, that was cool too, because I wasn't sure. I just kind of needed to do that to get the confidence to I just needed to do that for myself, because I wasn't sure if I'd be able to podium on like a big bike like that, and I just needed to do it to prove it to myself. So
That's
All right,
great.
Ashton. Again, we appreciate you joining us, and we're looking forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks at COTA. I hope everything goes smoothly between now and then, and you get what you need to make the bike as good as it can be. Obviously, if it's not ready for that one, it'll be ready for the first round, which is at Road Atlanta. So a good place for you to start your season. So thanks for joining us. And Sean, I know you've probably got some sales pitch you've got to throw out here.
I've always got to be selling something, Paul. Ashton, thanks for being on with us. So, hey, guys, listen, with a name like Sean, first name Sean, and it's S-E-A-N, so it's truly the Gaelic spelling. You can probably imagine that I'm Irish. In fact, my mom used to call me Sean the Leprechaun when I was a little kid.
Oh, boy.
And with that in mind.
No wonder you're the way you are.
Yeah, I know. I never recovered from that nickname. So, well, with that in mind, we've got St. Patrick's Day coming up, and as you'd expect, your favorite road racing organization, MotoAmerica, does have a St. Patrick's Day sale that's coming up, and we're going to have a code for you. You can put in, you can save up to 40% on tickets to Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta, Virginia International Raceway, Pittsburgh, Pit Race, I'll call it, New Jersey Motorsports Park, Barber Motorsports Park, and WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. So a lot, not all of our rounds, but a lot of our rounds. And, you can get on there with this code, go to our site, use the code that's going to be coming up, and you can get 40% off on tickets to our rounds this year to get to see Ashton Yates on that brand new Honda CBR1000R-RR Fireblade SP, I think it is. Am I right, Ashton?
that's it.
It's the pirate bike.
The longest motorcycle model name in history. But you get to see Ashton, and you can save up to 40% on these tickets. So we'll have the details on our social media. So follow that, and you'll get the code, and you can make that happen and join us this year. The country's opening up. We're ready for racing, and we can't wait to see you at the tracks. So definitely get in on that St. Patrick's Day sale. And again, thanks, Ashton, for being on.
All right. Thanks, Ashton. And thank you, Sean the Leprechaun.
Okay.
We'll talk soon. Bye, guys.